the teacher's deadly driving trial, and eyewitness Meaghan Maher is recalling what she saw moments before Amy Weiss fatally struck 10-year-old Oliver Stratton with her vehicle.
Do you recall the day of August 2nd, 2023?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Were you out and about driving through the neighborhood that day?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And could you tell us what you were up to?
It's going to sound funny. I was driving my dog around our neighborhood. He loves car rides. I was driving down River Pass. I don't know the direction, but I know that I was heading back towards my house. I went into the left-hand turning lane, and that is where I saw Oliver.
Okay.
At the intersection.
Okay, I'm gonna back you up a minute. Folks that own dogs probably know exactly what you're talking about. Folks that don't probably have no idea what you're talking about. What does driving a dog around entail? How often do you do that? What does that look like?
I probably do about 3 or 4 times a day. He's very spoiled. I had all 4 windows down in my vehicle during this time. He is a husky border collie mix, so he cannot sit still in the car. He likes to go from window to window to window.
Okay, and you said all 4 windows down. What kind of car was it that you were driving?
I drive a 2009 Lexus XR 350.
Okay, and that was the car that you were driving that day and last year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Mayor, I'm going to show you what's been previously entered into evidence as People's Exhibit 5. And we'll wait for the little thing to disappear for us. Ms. Mayor, do you recognize this map and this intersection in 5?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and we have River Pass and Saddlehorn there. You said a minute ago you didn't remember the direction you were driving, but sort of knew where you were going. Would that have been driving east on this map?
Correct.
Okay, so from Looker's left to Looker's right on this map?
Yes.
Okay. With the court's permission, could I ask the witness to stand up and approach the television?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Judge.
Move that microphone, Ms. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, over towards you. Thank you.
So if you could just point out which direction you were headed and what intersection we're going to be talking about here.
I was heading east, and I was in the turning lane on River Pass to make a left onto Saddlehorn.
Okay, going north on Saddlehorn.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to show you another. You may have a seat. I'm going to show you another photo here that's been marked as People's Exhibit 31, if I may approach.
Go ahead.
Ms. Mayor, that's the photo of the same intersection taken from a drone by Deputy Kinney. Deputy Kinney is going to be testifying in a moment, but my understanding for Mr. Gavelden is he is not going to object to prior publication of this exhibit to assist this witness in describing the intersection.
That is correct, Judge.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Would you agree that that's that same intersection there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but a little bit clearer than that Google map since it's a drone photo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, permission to publish, Your Honor?
Any objection, Mr. Gavelden?
No objection.
Go ahead.
And is this the same orientation here? We have River Pass going across the screen and Saddlehorn going up and down.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you approach that turn lane, you mentioned you saw a boy. Could you describe that in a little more detail about what you saw and where you saw him?
So I saw when I came to the turning lane to make a left onto Saddlehorn to return back home, I encountered a young boy who was on a bike. He had stopped right at the...
And I'm going to pause you because I see you pointing at the table.
I know.
So Judge, may she go up to the television screen again? Thank you.
Again, move the microphone.
Don't apologize. It's helpful to have you up there and to show us what you mean.
When I came to the turning lane to make a left onto Saddlehorn, I saw a little boy right at this intersection on the sidewalk. He had stopped before crossing the street. He had stood there for maybe a couple seconds. Bikes looked a little too big for him. But when he was about around here was when I made my left.
Okay. So I'm going to walk you through that a little bit. When you first saw him, was he moving or was he stopped?
He was stopped.
Okay. And that was completely on that sidewalk portion out of the road?
Sir.
Okay. And you mentioned you thought the bike was a little big. I mean, was he falling over or did it just sort of look misproportioned to you?
Just misproportioned. I noticed that he couldn't put both tiptoes on the concrete on the sidewalk. That's how I was taught as a kid, how you size the bike. If you could put both tiptoes on either side of the bike, he was just kind of teetering a little bit.
Okay. But with 1 foot on the ground?
Correct.
Okay. And completely stopped?
Correct.
Okay. Now, at that point, when you first saw him stopped, were you moving or were you stopped?
I was stopped.
Okay. At that intersection there?
Yes, sir.
There's not a stop sign or stoplight there. Why did you stop?
Because I know that I saw that a little boy was at the intersection. Bicyclists and pedestrians have the right of way normally. I didn't know which way, if he was going to maybe decide to go that way or across River Pass. So I just wanted to wait just to make sure
Okay.
which way he was going.
Okay. Do you know how long you may have been there to wait to make your decision to turn?
30 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds.
Okay. Is that just sort of is that what it felt like? Did you take time? How did you make that determination?
Like,
Okay. Now, when you decided to turn, where was the boy on the bike at that point when you start your car again and initiate that turn?
the boy was about here.
Okay. Proceeding south across that intersection. Okay.
So, yes.
To cross that street.
All right, let's bring in our guest. Joining us to discuss, criminal defense attorney Robin Nunn. Robin, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. And I want to go back to the mother's testimony and really the devastating emotional effect that would have had on anyone listening to it, specifically the jury in this case, even the defendant herself. This is not something she intended, so having to relive that, probably difficult for her as well. I want to get your reaction to her testimony.
Yeah, I found the testimony to be incredibly compelling and heartbreaking. I think the defense attorney made a good decision in not doing a cross-examination of her because her testimony came across as very truthful and honest and direct. And I don't think there's anyone who would ever dispute that she is not in incredible pain at the loss of her child.
So that begs the question for me, knowing that that testimony was going to be coming up, if I'm representing the defendant in this case, why do you think this case is at trial? It's charged as a traffic misdemeanor, anywhere from, I think, 10 days to a year in prison. And yet here's this mother having to be on the stand, going through and reliving this moment in her life, which she called very clearly the worst day, worst moment of her life. Why do you think we're here trying this case in a court of law?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously it's at the prosecutor's discretion on whether this case is brought or not. It's not up to the defendant. It's not up to the victim's family. I think that the prosecution takes into consideration the defendant's defense as far as how this tragedy occurred, and also takes into consideration the family's position. But I'm surprised by this trial. It's unusual, needless to say. A plea offer was made and rejected. It's not a long sentence that's being faced, but it is a serious charge, of course. But I think it would be one that this trial will be very painful for both sides. Both the victim's family as well as the defendant. And I'm surprised that a resolution couldn't have been reached outside of court.
Yeah, that's what confuses me here. And you talk about the prosecutor making that decision. The defense almost made the decision here because it was a decent plea deal. She didn't have to do any jail time. If she got any jail time, it could be served at some sort of alternative community type service, so she wouldn't have to serve time in jail. She would have to plead to both of the charges. She ended up pleading to just one, and here we are at trial. Again, it confuses me, but we'll continue to watch. Robin, stand by. I do have to take a break. Coming up on Court TV, the Eyewitness describes the terrifying sound that she heard as soon as she turned turned away from the scene. So keep it here on your front row seat to justice. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala, back now to Colorado for the teacher's deadly driving trial. Oliver Stratton was biking home from a friend's house on August 2nd of 2023 when he was hit and killed by a 53-year-old woman. Her name is Amy Weiss. Now, she was a school teacher, and she was arrested 2 months after his death and is accused of being distracted while behind the wheel, specifically texting. And on Monday, Weiss pleaded guilty to a charge of tampering with physical evidence for erasing some of those texts. She will be sentenced for that in March. Well, the trial is happening now, and it's to determine if she's guilty of careless driving resulting in death. If convicted, she faces up to 1 year in county jail plus a fine. Let's get you back inside that courtroom for an eyewitness who's finishing up her testimony on direct.
Weaving at all or going directionally, or is he going dead straight across that intersection?
Dead straight across the intersection.
Okay. And you'd mentioned a second ago that, the bike looked a little too big. Did you observe him having any trouble pedaling or steering that bicycle?
Maybe just a small kicks, like when to begin again, to start pedaling, a little wobbly, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay, so like a little bit of a kickstart. Okay. But no swerving throughout the street.
No.
Okay. What was the last point that you recall seeing that cyclist? Well, you said where he was, I guess, already. Where were you? Maybe I should ask.
I was probably about the turn, and that's when I can kind of still see him on my passenger window. But when I made that full turn, he was out of my sight.
Okay. And the last you saw of him, was he still moving?
Yes.
Okay. Did you notice anything after that as you proceeded north?
I heard a loud cracking noise, I want to say. That's what it sounded like. Probably about, I'm estimating around 15 to 20 seconds after I made that turn. I proceeded to look in my rear view mirror, and there happened to be a landscape worker on a very large lawnmower. And I figured maybe he had just swiped a tree or ran over a branch, because that's what it made it sound like.
Okay. In this photo, we see some of these sort of big green medians. And so is that where the landscaping work was going on?
The landscaper was more south of the street.
Okay. But in sort of a similar green area?
Yes.
Okay. You estimated that, correct me if I'm wrong, to be about 10 or 15 seconds after you made the turn that you heard that noise?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would that mean you were off this map further north already?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can go ahead and have a seat again. Thank you. Do you recall specifically what time of day that was?
I want to say probably between anywhere from around 4 or 5.
Okay. If you were told that it was a little bit later than that, closer to 6 o'clock, would that seem right with sort of the dog walking that you were doing?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned you didn't realize that the boy had been hit at that time. What drew your attention to the fact that this is what you witnessed?
The following day, I had opened up a app called Newsbreak. It is on my iPad tablet, and there was a story about an accident that happened in the same intersection that I live near. I read the article and found that there was some things that were not exactly true in the article, and that's what decided for me to come forward.
Okay. What about the article did you disagree with?
I disagreed that in the article.
Excuse me. She's making reference to an article, Judge, that's hearsay, going to object to the hearsay.
It's not for the truth of the matter, Your Honor, of what the article said. It's a rationale for why she responded and contact law enforcement.
Therefore, no need to talk about what was the discrepancies, Judge. Still hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection. Go ahead with your next question.
Thank you, Judge. When you called law enforcement, did you have a discussion about the manner in which that cyclist proceeded into the intersection?
Yes.
Okay. How would you describe for us the manner in which he proceeded?
The manner which the boy proceeded was within the rules of the laws of bicycling. He stopped at the intersection. He looked both ways. He made sure that the coast was clear, and he proceeded to cross the street.
Did you have any concerns for his safety in the manner he crossed the street?
No,
Did you have any concerns for your safety in the manner in which he crossed the street?
no,
Okay. Did you have any concerns about the safety of any others who may be on the roadway besides you two?
no,
Okay. When you were there, did you notice any cars behind you as you made that turn?
no, sir.
Okay. Do you recall speaking to Deputy Gephardt on August 4th of last year?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you recall telling him you may have seen a gold or silver SUV close behind you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that accurate, having a recollection?
I saw the vehicle cross that intersection when I was already out of that picture,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
It does. Were there any other obstructions in the roadway? For instance, you mentioned some lawn mowing equipment or some landscaping equipment. Were there any other equipment, vehicles, people, trees, anything in the way of your view of that cyclist in that intersection as you approached it that afternoon?
No, sir. The intersection is very wide open.
Did you return to this intersection at a later time with law enforcement?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What was the purpose of that visit?
The purpose of that visit was a reenactment of the accident.
Okay. And did you assist law enforcement on the scene with identifying where your car was in that turn lane?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you assist them with identifying where that last known location of the cyclist was?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you observe, did you lend your actual car to that endeavor?
Yes, and I stayed on scene for about 6 hours while they were doing the reenactment.
Okay. And you witnessed them put those things then in the correct location?
All right, what we're going to do here is hit the pause button, but when we return, the defense attorney turns it up a notch on cross-examination and grills the witness about what she actually saw. It's up next on Court TV Live, so keep it here on your front row seat to justice.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, new details revealed in the Long Island serial murders. We're unpacking today's developments and what it all means for this accused killer.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, coming up next, only on Court TV.
United Healthcare CEO was gunned down. Police have arrested Luigi Mangione.
Court TV and Scripps News take you inside the investigation that's captured the nation's attention.
Assassination of a CEO, Wednesday at 7 on Court TV.
Welcome back, folks. We're following testimony in the teacher's deadly driving trial going on in Colorado. A woman who heard the crash and saw the victim before he was fatally struck on his bicycle is now on cross-examination. So let's get back into that court.
The crosswalk is located on the Saddlehorn intersection.
Okay. There's no crosswalk with regard to that intersection involving Saddlehorn Drive. Is that right? Going north to south.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Now, let's talk about what you remember that particular day, if I may. Okay?
Of course.
All right. The reason you remember that day is that you said you saw an article with information about an accident.
Correct.
Thank you. And as a result of that, you contacted law enforcement regarding that. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
And that you would have contacted them on August 3rd, 2023, not August 4th.
It was the day after the accident.
Thank you. And the day of the accident was on August 2nd, 2023? Is that
Yes,
correct? So you would have contacted them the next day,
correct,
and you wanted to give them information about what you saw and what you heard.
correct.
Thank you. So let's talk about what you initially told that officer. And just for a reference, when you called, you talked to Officer Gebhardt?
Yes, I did.
There you go. And he's sitting over here with the, to my left.
I didn't know what he looked like. I can't tell what people look like on
That's
the
okay.
phone when I talk to them.
But you remember it was Officer Gebhardt?
Yes,
Okay. And this was a phone conference. Would that be fair?
yes,
Okay. And first of all, you let him know you were driving your Lexus, it's a 2009 Lexus. I believe it's a 350.
correct.
Yes. And you were letting him know that you were at that intersection at some point?
Yes,
Good. And that you told him that you were stopped on River Run Pass, facing eastbound, and you were about to make a left-hand turn.
correct.
Good. So let's focus on that, okay?
Okay.
And during that phone conference with Mr. Gebhardt, that's when you said you saw a young boy that was stopped on the northeast corner of the sidewalk. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, after you told him that, you also described the little boy for Mr. Gebhardt, right?
Yes, I did.
In fact, that he was on a silver bike.
Correct.
Okay. And in fact, one of the things that you said when you said that you saw him on this silver bike, that the bike appeared like it was big for him. Is that right?
I would rephrase it as a little too big for him.
Okay. All right. If the officer wrote down the bike appeared like it was big for him as a quote, would you disagree with that?
No, I would not disagree.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was bigger.
Okay, thank you. Now, one of the things that you said that you were waiting at that left turn until you saw that the boy began to ride south on across River Pass Road.
Correct.
And in fact, you've testified today that when you were sitting there to make your left-hand turn, obviously, when you saw that little boy on that bike, you weren't sure if he was going to cross in front of you or whether he was going to cross in front of you the other way. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so you didn't want to be making a left-hand turn while that child was crossing at the crosswalk.
Correct.
But he didn't go in a direction of the crosswalk, did he?
No, he did not.
He went in a direction where there's no crosswalk.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Now, my understanding is that when you understood and were convinced that he was not going to cross in front of you, that's when you began to make your left-hand turn.
Correct.
Thank you. And so you made that left-hand turn, and it was only after you made that left-hand turn that you heard something from behind. Is that right?
Correct.
So unfortunately, you did not see what happened.
No, I did not.
You heard something, but you did not equate that with a car accident, did you?
Correct. It did not sound like a car accident.
Understand. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you about is after you had this phone conference with Mr. Gebhardt, there was an opportunity, I believe, for you to actually go with officers. I think one of the officers were officers to do a reenactment of that cross section.
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. One of the people you met was, I believe, Officer Austin Kenny. Remember him?
Sounds familiar.
Right. Okay. And you met him again at the intersection of River Pass Road and Saddlehorn Drive. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And the purpose of that was so that you could assist him in terms of reenacting what you remember seeing and hearing.
Correct.
Thank you. And so you brought your vehicle with you.
Yes, I did.
And they asked you to park it in the location of where you were waiting to make that left-hand turn.
Correct.
Is that right? And so they positioned your vehicle there.
Correct.
As I understand it, when you were positioned on the day of August 2nd, you were on the driver's side, obviously, because you were driving.
Correct.
You had all the windows down.
Correct.
Okay. And so you explained that to the officers when you did the reenactment.
I did, and I put all 4 windows down again.
And again, displayed your all windows down, so it was exactly like you remember it on August 2nd.
Correct.
Thank you. Now, real important that they asked you to locate where you first saw this young boy on the bike. Is that
Correct.
right? And so you went to that corner, the corner where he was, right?
Yes, sir.
And that would have been the northeast corner of that intersection.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you actually pointed to where you believed he was. Is that right?
Yes.
And to help you out, they kind of marked that with an X, did they not?
They marked 2 X's, one where I saw him first and one where I had started to make my left-hand turn.
Thank you. That was going to be my next question, but let's stay with the first one. You made
Perfect.
your first mark.
Yep.
The first mark was at the corner where you first saw him, right?
On the sidewalk, yes.
He's on the sidewalk, and that first mark is where you were waiting to see in what direction he was going to go.
Correct.
Thank you. Then, to help with the reenactment, you went further and made a second mark on the street.
Correct.
And you made the second mark on the street of River Pass Road.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right? And that mark was designated where you remember him beginning to make his bike in the direction south.
That mark on the street was where he was when I began to turn left.
Thank you. You again anticipated my next question. The mark that you made.
All right, let's bring in our guest, still with us, criminal defense attorney Robin Nunn. And Robin, what do you make of this cross-examination? This is a witness clearly, I don't want to go as far as to call her hostile, but clearly someone who feels like the child was in the right. She testified on direct that he did all the right things. He was there looking both ways. He had stopped where he was supposed to stop. She herself stopped for him to see what he was going to do. Then she left, came out on cross that she didn't actually see what happened, but she did hear something. What do you make of that cross?
Yeah, I think the cross-examination is going well for the defense. Obviously, the defense is there to put on their side of the story, and their side of the story is that she was not driving carelessly or recklessly or negligently, that she was obeying the rules of the road, and that there was another driver who obstructed her view, and that happened seconds before she unfortunately hit the child in this case. Having this cross-examination that we're seeing play out, we're hearing that the witness didn't in fact witness the collision. She heard it, and it didn't even sound like a crash to her, and that a day later, through the news, she learned of it and decided to contact the police and walk through this reenactment. I think that it is pretty effective.
Yeah, I think it's been effective, and there's a couple of facts that I think are helpful. That the young boy decided not to go across the street with the crosswalk, so where he decided to go across, there wasn't one. So there was no, the car didn't have to stop. We know that, according to the car, it was only going 30 miles an hour, which was under the speed limit, which was 40. It has now been reduced to 35, but 40 at the time. So we know that. And if you do the math, in 10 to 15 seconds, that car, her car, would have been about 600 feet away from that intersection. And if the kid is standing there looking both ways, he would have seen it. So I think that's helpful to the defense.
Yeah, I think that it's really laid out a compelling argument here. And Michael, you have a quick, sense and intelligence and put that together, quite quickly. But I think this will also be clear to the judge and the jury and others in the courtroom that, there were elements that might lead one to believe that perhaps this driver did not act carelessly.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not so quick, Robin. It was my phone that helped me out with all that stuff. But hopefully the defense attorney at some point will point that out to the jury, because I think it is a helpful fact for them. Robin Nunn, thank you so much for joining us tonight.